We've gotten 4 cabin fever movies over the years, so let's rank them. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the movie ranker, and today I'm ranking all 4 cabin fever movies from worst to best. This is a franchise I was always curious about. I've seen the first one back when it came out, but never watched any of the sequels or the remake. And like I said, yeah, I was just always curious about these films, so I decided to give them a watch, and now it's time to rank them. So make sure you drop your rankings of this franchise down in the comments section, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy rankings like this, and let's dive in. So for me, easily coming into last place at number 4, I gotta go with Cabin Fever, the remake from 2016. One of those pointless remakes out there that is basically a clone of the original. Doesn't add anything new or interesting to the film. The first 2/3 are basically shot for shot. Even the dialogue's the same and everything. The third act switches things up just a bit, but not enough to make this worthwhile to watch. If you're going to watch one of these films, go watch the original. We do get some decent cinematography with some aerial shots and such. A little homage to The Shining at the start of the film. But yeah, besides that, I did not like this film at all. It's not fun. A lot of the goofiness and funness of the first film is ripped out of here. It's much more straightforward. The effects are decent, but nothing amazing that would make me want to watch this over the original. The characters are all worse, every single one of them. They, for some reason, take Winston the cop and just make him a female in this, but she acts the exact same as Winston did anyway, so it doesn't make any sense why you would gender swap her. And yeah, just a pointless remake. Like, why would you watch this? Maybe if you watch this one first before any of the other films, maybe you wouldn't mind it. But it's just very hard to get into after watching the original. And on top of all that, this movie came out in 2016, where the original came out in 2002. Why would you remake a film only 14 years later? And it was produced by Eli Roth. He didn't direct it this time. So in my mind, it's either they did this to keep the rights or they needed some quick cash or something, because there's really no reason for this to be made. Up next at number 3, I'm going with Cabin Fever Patient Zero. This is the third entry, and it kind of plays out like a prequel. This takes place before all the other films on an island. And you got these scientists who have Patient Zero enclosed in quarantine, which is Sean Astin, Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings. Really weird to see him in this. I was not expecting that. But yeah, he is a carrier of the virus. He doesn't get affected himself, but anybody he comes in contact with or he infects, gets the cabin fever virus, this flesh-eating disease. I thought that was interesting, and we also get a group of people having a bachelor's party on the island, but it's only like 4 or 5 of them. Not very many of them for a bachelor party. I think there's only 4. And yeah, they end up going in the water, which causes them to be infected. And that's basically what the story is about. A decent story. I like that the setting is on this island and that it really switches things up. I mean, it's not a great movie. It has decent effects though, and it's entertaining enough from start to finish. I just feel like once we get into the facility with the scientists in the second half, when our group on the beach goes there to try to find help, it just, I don't know, the movie just really slows down in its pacing. And the infected scientists kind of act like zombies. I think that's kind of odd, the way that they look really weird, and just the way that they come at you. It's more zombie-like. They're not like, help, or anything. We do get some memorable moments, which saves this movie, though. One of them being when one of those zombie guys goes to shoot, and his hand snaps from being so rotten, and his gun sticks in his forehead. Very memorable, very cool. We also get a cat fight between 2 girls that are infected, and they're kind of like tearing each other apart, and that just quite fun, really cool idea. And I like how one of them goes out with getting like a giant black dildo through the head or something like that. It is this wild, wacky, but I'm here for it. I just feel that the virus is kind of inconsistent in this one. While the people on the beach, when they get infected, they seem to be in extreme pain and everything, right? In agony. But then there's certain scientists that basically you can see like the bones in their skin, they're rotting off, and this one girl scientist doesn't seem to be really bothered by it. She doesn't really seem to be in much pain, which I'm like, that's kind of weird. And I really do not like the ending to this film. There's a big twist where Sean Astin's character, they're all getting away on a boat, and he decides to infect the last two people on the boat with him, and he takes off on a dinghy to infect the world. And it's like, but why? That's such a weird twist. The only thing I can see is he wants revenge. He wants everybody else to have this virus and revenge because he lost his family over it or something. I don't know, but it's just a really dumb twist that comes out of nowhere, and it just doesn't hit at all. And I feel like the Sean Astin character himself is completely wasted. Most movies, it's in a box yelling while they're yelling back at him on the other side of this glass box. So, yeah, not a great movie, but I feel like it has moments that are pretty iconic for a bad movie, which may have me returning to this movie in a few years. Who knows? It wasn't the worst thing ever. It's not a great movie either, but it was entertaining enough. Up next at number 2, I got Cabin Fever 2 Spring Fever. Now, this one and my third place are very, very tight, but this one edges it out just a bit. I like that this one continues off the first movie, like picks right up after the first movie. We get that last infected guy, he gets hit by a school bus, we get Deputy Winston back, so you really do feel like this is a proper sequel to the original, even though they leave the woods and they head to prom, where the water that's infected gets bottled and gets sent to this school prom, and everybody's drinking it. Of course, they all get infected. I like the setting, and it just really switches things up from the first. Ty West directs this one, and I don't know who had more say in this. Was it Ty West? Was it the writers? Was it the studio? But this movie gets gross and disgusting. All these movies kind of do, but this one takes it just a bit too far, in my opinion. There's some scenes that's really hard to watch. One being a guy who has his private parts infected, and later in the movie it shows them and there's pus coming out and everything. Ugh, not something I ever want to see. It's pretty gnarly. The effects are okay, but just really disgusting and gross, right? Just like the ending of this film too, where the girl at the strip club and she's all covered in like, they almost look like zits or something, or cold sores or something in this film before they get really infected, and she has it all over her breasts and that at a strip club, and it's so disgusting. And you get this bit of humor in there with the hillbillies looking at her and be like, I'd still tap that. It's like, this movie does have a lot of humor, but it's spliced with disgusting, gross out stuff, and I'm kind of mixed on the whole thing. I'm kind of here for it, but sometimes it's just too much for me to watch. But I do like the story for the most part, how this group of people investigating the virus, they're basically like a SWAT team. They come in and close off the prom, and they're here to take out everybody who's infected to try to stop the spread. And it just makes for a more engaging, kind of thrilling. There's not just a virus after you, but you got these group of basically mercenaries out there to kill you, and they have to hide and try to survive. And I think it could have been executed much better, but overall I think it was still done well enough. I still had a good enough time with it. I feel like they didn't have enough story here though. It's the shortest movie in the franchise, and yet the movie ends in a way that it feels like it should be a proper ending, but then it just continues showing the whole strip club side of things, and then it ends again, another ending where it shows like an animated ending showing how the virus is spreading across the entire world and is becoming a global pandemic. It just seemed like it didn't know when to end, and so the endings feel like they're tacked on after the movie was already made to give us a longer runtime. And the first proper ending, where Deputy Winston and his cousin pick up the last infected girl, that was dumb. Like, I can't see his character do that, pick her up, because he already knows about this virus, or he knows how dangerous it is, and they're just trying to get out of Dodge, right? So to me, it doesn't make sense to pick up this girl that's covered in blood and asking for help. To me, they would have just drove off. Maybe not the cousin, but Deputy Winston should be smart enough to know to just get off. But no, he picks her up, and then there's a reveal that on her back it shows that she's starting to be infected. And I was just like, dumb character decision. So yeah, a movie that could have been executed better. Like I said, I don't know who had their hands in the pot in this one. Was it Ty West? Was it the studio? Was it the producers? Who knows? But the final product could have definitely been better. But it could have been a lot worse too. To me, it was a fun movie, but with just a few too many parts that are hard to watch that were just a bit too disgusting. But for me, coming in the first place, I have to give it to Cabin Fever, the original. Now, when I first watched this movie, I thought it was just okay, like a 3-star film. But on this rewatch, I really grew to appreciate it. Um, this is a hell of a fun time. It does get disgusting and gross at times, but not too much for me to look away. It's more like, oh, that's cool effects, you know? I'm more invested in it, I guess. I like Eli Roth's direction, his humor, mixed with early 2000s humor, you know? And the characters, of course, are all like these model looking people, which is another trope from early 2000 horror films. I really like the cast in this one. I think it's the best in the series. We got I don't know the real names, but we got that one dude, the main character. He plays Sean from Boy Meets World, and I used to watch that show all the time. So it's really cool to see him in there. And Deputy Winston and the dummy partier in this film, they're both from Detroit Rock City, which I just recently rewatched. That was cool seeing them in here. So yeah, a familiar cast that I can get behind, and I think they're all fun to watch. Um, there's some intense scenes in here as well. There's the biggest scene in here for me is the shaving scene. You get the girl in the bathtub shaving, and at one point she's like shaving her skin right off, and it's hard to watch, but this is one that's hard to watch, but it's not too disgusting. It's like more cool, you know, and just clever idea of how to show how these people are rotting away, basically. And I just like that dynamic between all the characters and how when the virus starts, they all start turning on each other. You know, we get the one girl quarantined in the shed, and we got the dog outside trying to attack them. They're all full of paranoia, full of fear. They're isolated. They got nowhere to go. Their vehicles broke. All the outsiders are very different from them. You know, they're very like hillbilly like and have different values and views compared to these city folks. So it's all very interesting, and just how they deal with each other when shit goes down, you know. Some of them, like that one dude, just wants to go in the woods and be away from everybody because he's scared of the infection. Kind of the smart one out of the crew. And I like that he drinks beer the whole trip, which actually saves his life. Alcohol saves his life in a horror movie for once, until the very end. But yeah, that's just really cool and a fun thing. I like all the little quirky characters in here too. We got Eli Roth playing a cameo of this stoner dude that's right weird, Grim, I think his name was. We got Deputy Winston, which is like this party cop, and like he doesn't really care about the virus. He's like, if you're still partying, make sure to invite me. Eh? It's like it's just funny. He's a very bad cop, and of course we cannot forget the kid at the store who yells pancakes and is always biting people. He does like karate moves. So hilarious. And I feel like that's what sets this movie apart from the rest. These quirky characters, Eli Roth's dark humor mixed throughout, and the great effects. It's just a really fun time. A flesh-eating disease, it's just a perfect subject for a horror movie because that's something everybody would be scared of, you know, and it's real. There is an actual skin-eating disease virus out there. It's this type of bacteria that basically like eats your skin, rots you from inside to out. So especially since this is real, I mean, it definitely puts fear into the viewers as well. I mean, you're watching this, it's hard not to start scratching or whatever just because you're watching it, right? We also get quite a few little tributes and homages to older horror movies. One obvious one is when the girls takes the canoe to go to the neighbor's house, and she's walking up the front lawn. We get that butt shot of her coming up to the house, exactly like TCM, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But it was a great little tribute there. I feel like the whole ending with the cop shooting a dude coming out of the woods was very reminiscent of Night of the Living Dead from 1968. So I liked all those little homages and tributes thrown in there, but the movie has its own voice as well. It can stand on its own without those tributes. But I feel like that was this Eli Roth, you know, this was, I think, his first horror movie, his first directorial debut, I think. So obviously you're going to want to pour some of your influences in there as well. And while it's not a perfect film, I feel like this one knew exactly what it was going for and achieved that goal 100%. I enjoy the characters, the humor, the action, the effects. Everything works. Even got a cool score in here. So for me, this easily comes in the first place in my ranking. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 4 Cabin Fever movies. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know how you rank these movies. Have you seen all 4 of these? To me, the first one is the one definitely worth a watch, but the sequels do have some memorable moments in there, and I think they should be at least watched at least once just to give you an idea of them. The remake, throw that in the trash. It's pointless. And that's my thoughts on this franchise. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more franchise rankings in the future. You can follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram in the description of this video. Links are always there. Thanks again, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, thanks for watching.